The Syntax of Things by Arisha. Chapter 29. To be a Fool. Assistance. Whatever had happened, Potter did not want to talk about it, and Severus found that he was rather relieved about that. Spared from the terror of dealing with the boy's emotions, he relaxed on his sofa as he thought of happy little things, like the dismissal from his professional duties that he'd assuredly receive from Dumbledore quite soon. Potter sat on the other end of the sofa, one shoed foot on the cushions and one on the carpet. He thought of the curses that would make Potter's legs stick permanently to the ground, and waited for the babbling to begin. They sat in silence for a long time. Severus distantly pictured his exquisite bottles left back home with internal longing, and for a dreadful moment he was faced with the fact that deep down he was just as fond of drinking as Tobias was. Well, only in summers. "Are you planning on appearing with Acewell and I in the Great Hall tomorrow?" he asked. "I'll use a charm." Severus figured that there was alcohol in this room after all. Potter eyed at first a dark red bottle between the dusty books on the bookcase, and Severus cursed himself for not having thought of it earlier. Of course, wine is alcohol too. That particular bottle had remained on that shelf for so long he'd stopped considering it anything but decorative years ago. It would remain decorative. "Stop doing that. If you want to drink, drink." He was staring at the bottle, brilliant. He reminded himself that Potter and alcohol was a bagomination. "Why did you bring me here?" Potter asked. "Because, despite the headmaster's endless optimism—" "You cannot continue like this." Potter shrugged off what looked like vexation. "I'm fine." "You've been wandering around the corridors again. You rarely sleep, and your grades have gone downhill. Why?" "I'm fine." Professionalism indicated that there should be a reprimand here. He searched for the right words and failed. Eventually, the flashes of anger in Potter's face took control and he exploded. "You know what? Everyone keeps asking and asking if I'm fine, yet the only thing I hear when they do is their absolute conviction that I'm not. I'm not, and I don't need to be protected all the time, you know. Why are you keeping me here?" "You are free to leave whenever you wish to." "Fine." But he didn't leave. "I will not allow you to play the fine card on me, so cease using it. Neither will I witness you take a downfall because you desire to torture yourself over your weaknesses. Yes, your weaknesses, instead of focusing on your strengths." Potter shook his head frantically. "You don't get to tell me your assumptions of what I do. No, I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't wallow in sadness or depression or whatever you think I suffer from this week, and I don't need to be watched over 24/7 just in case something unbelievable happens to me." The boy was correct. Almost. He forgot the part where something unbelievable always happened to him. Watched over 24/7. They could lock the boy in a concrete box and trouble would still somehow find him. "If you let life control you, life will break you," Severus said instead. "You may now think that if you push yourself enough, you'll become so tough nothing will disturb your peace of mind." Severus shifted straighter to his seat. "Once you succeed on that, however, you will not know what to do with this prosperity." Potter licked his lips, ready to respond, always ready to respond before he'd heard the point. "The normality you're seeking isn't real, and you won't find it. It doesn't exist. You can be swallowed up by just another ordinary facade for all I care, but don't be surprised when real madness strikes you." There. He had finished. Potter closed his eyes, and Severus was momentarily impressed by his ability to come up with something actually helpful, and then shocked at the realization that he wouldn't have come up with it in the first place if he didn't mean it. Indeed. "What am I supposed to do then? Just keep being a mess because I won't stop thinking of what hurts me? I thought you wanted me to get rid of emotion." When he was capable of speaking openly, he'd tell Potter that emotion was something people could never get rid of. One could always fight it if he chose to, but emotion would just readjust a little bit, and that was all. Then again, yes, when you practice occlumency, not at all times. Potter smiled. He dared smile at it. "That's not what you wanted to say." "Blasted boy." "What about you then? You never show emotion, and you're doing fine." "Yes, I never show emotion because I don't have one," Severus thought of saying. Potter's gaze deepened. Were he anyone else but Potter, Severus would think that he was trying to read his mind. He reflexively guarded his thoughts and was stunned with surprise at Potter's soft chuckle. You know what? I bet you can't even show emotion to yourself. Severus swallowed. He was offended, aghast, provoked, furious with himself for allowing Potter into his chambers despite the reasons against it, and deranged at him for taking advantage of his generosity so he can kick back. He certainly wasn't hurt. A dangerous urge to tear their encounter down with a memorable, bitter remark was immediately pushed aside, and he nodded his head in what he believed to be a stern agreement to the boy's statement. Not true was the right answer, but close enough. What I do hardly concerns you. It is you we are talking about. Potter grimaced. Thanks, as though I'm not put under the microscope already. Severus opened his mouth to retort, but he wasn't quick enough. Look, Professor, it is one thing to receive help, and another to be subjected to special assistance. When you say that everybody admires me, even though they shouldn't, you're right. Sometimes all I want is to be 16, you know. Potter stared fixedly at him, with 1.5 eye more precisely. Damn, that blasted bruise was disturbing. You are the chosen one. You can't. Pick something else. Be left alone? With Dumbledore pulling his threads like a puppet, most likely they'd turn into a noose the moment he'd even think of escaping. I highly doubt that you would like that. Yeah, Potter snorted. I guess I wouldn't.